Welcome to the Limelight podcast, where authors, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders step forward to share their ideas, stories, and strategies. I'm Clarissa Burt, inviting you into thoughtful dialogue, refined insight, and an esteemed way of living. Hey everybody, we are back in the Limelight, drawing out your genius. Oh, I just love the idea of, I love the idea of drawing. I'm not very good at it, I must say, but I wanted to show you that the author of the book drew something for me too. Look at that, for Clarissa. Yay. And she has like this little over here bright light for me, and she even remembered to give me glasses. There she is, everybody. I'm bringing her on right now. Lisa Rothstein, there she goes. Hey, you.
Oh, that's great. You're the first person to do that, to show.
Welcome to the show. I was so thrilled to get my own little drawing in here. That's so cool. And here's the other thing that I really loved about this, Lisa. Before we get started, we are started, but I want to let you know that in your acknowledgments where you're thanking your father and your mother and your lovely husband, Jim, you also say, and to everyone who thinks that they can't draw, welcome to the club. You're exactly who I wrote this book for. Well, thank you, because I can't draw a stick man.
That's what everybody says, almost everybody. And so my mission in life to prove you wrong.
I think it's one of those things that you're born with, Lisa. I really do. But let's get into it. It says, the worse it looks, the better it works. That's right. I wanted to give everybody a little bit more of an idea. You also are a New Yorker cartoonist, an author, and a Fortune 500 strategist. And this is about how human imperfection beats AI polish for faster, clearer decisions when we're talking about visual learning, visual effects. And so I'm going to let you do all of the scientific, more, deep dive into all of this. But how exciting this is.
Yeah, it's really kind of a culmination of everything that interested me when I was a little kid. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. You say, why AI perfect slides make decisions slower. So yeah, I mean, we got to start talking about AI when we start talking about drawing and creative and writing and literature and how it's taking over, or potentially is taking over a lot of the creative force that's coming from human beings these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I have a love-hate relationship with AI because I use it a lot. I love it in terms of being able to take tedious and repetitive tasks off our plates, being able to summarize things very well. It's just something I always like to do, but it does an even better job than I do about that. And I think, a lot of people are concerned about AI taking their jobs, and they should be concerned. If all you do is write and you don't do anything special along with that, for example, and my sister is a writer, and she survived longer than anybody else in her job. But I think, after a while, AI came for her too. She now has a new one, but only because she's showing up in more human ways, taking initiative, having creative ideas and things, and not just showing up, punching the clock, and doing the work that unfortunately or fortunately now automation can do a lot of it. So
the visual thinking that sells ideas, that drives buy-in and leads change. Especially, I don't know, you say about, in the boardroom, getting in the boardroom or living in the boardroom.
Right.
Talk to me about that, because this is not my world. And so I want to be able to give everybody a really good idea to, who you are, what you do, and how your book can help.
Right. Well, in the book, what I do is I give some very basic instruction about how to do what I call like the three C's: character, concepts, and context. Character is, I'm going to show you my iPad. Character is you've got like these people.
Yep.
And they're all the same, but depending on, and let's make them all smiley. And I'm going to make a three down here.
Okay.
I'm going to give them faces too.
Okay.
Let's do smiley ones first. If I just do this, two lines, that second person, now he's got a whole different content, right?
Right.
If I do the eyebrows this way, maybe a little teardrop with this person. Now that person is kind of more emotional. You see, now it's just very, very simple, and anybody can do it. I say, look how rough this is.
Yeah.
If I make them all just basically unhappy. But then I take this guy's eyebrows and put them on this one. That's an angry person,
Yeah.
right? If
Wow.
I take these guys' eyebrows and put them on this person, and maybe with a little teardrop, that's a sad or depressed person. Now you've got like 6 completely different moods that are being expressed here.
Right.
And I also teach people. You said you couldn't draw a stick man. I
Yeah.
teach people how to do like a stick figure to me. Sorry, hang on. Stick figure to me, you got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 moves.
That
And
I can do.
and yeah, but this is all you get after all of that work. And what I like to do is there are a few different ways. There's one way that's called, I didn't make this up. If you can do a star, that's a really shitty star, by the way. But if I take the top point off and I put a head on top, now I've got like a different way of doing a person. And then you can do, the points can go anywhere you want. They can be
Right.
going up. So it's not a star anymore, but you can see what I'm saying. There are lots of ways to do people. My point is they're more human, they have more emotional content.
Yeah.
And to me, character is one aspect of doing of having a visual vocabulary. Another one is something that I'm calling concepts. Concept is where most people start. It has to do more with like icons. Or symbols. So I'm gonna go back to circles again.
Yeah.
A bunch of circles. With a circle, okay, I'll just do this.
Yep.
With a circle, I can do, if I do this, suddenly it has a different meaning than it did when it was just a circle.
Right.
If I do this, it doesn't have to be geographically correct. It has a different meaning. Right. If I do this, it has a different meaning. And then you might have like, I don't know, a wheel. Now I'm going to run out of ideas. A lifesaver.
Right.
A donut.
A donut.
Okay. I'm in pizza mood right now. So I got.
There you go. Okay. It all works.
My point is, there are lots of things that you can make out of squares, out of circles that have a lot of different meaning. Like I love to talk about this one and then say, well, if you put this is okay, an earth by itself, but if I put the word peace with this, it means something different than if I put the word logistics.
Right.
Or if I put the word climate. Right. Or something like that, I'm going to have a whole different kind of conversation. And so those kinds of things open up a different conversation. And then, so that's characters, people. Concepts are icons and symbols. And then contexts are things like frameworks, things like metaphors. If I do a road, if I do like a road into the distance and here's like the sun in the background, like now I can have milestones going up here. So now this could be a project plan. This could be like, okay, we're here right now. Here we are right now. Here's me and my team down here at the bottom. We want to get up here, and then we have to pass these milestones, each of which has like, this is the things that have to happen at each step of this thing. Now we're not having a conversation in a boardroom or with a bunch of people.
Right.
You can all be looking at this. A lot of times you'll see people putting sticky notes on a big, if we're doing this on a big board, so everybody has their ideas, like, well, what should happen in stage 1? What should happen in stage 2? Now we're all collaborating. So what's nice about doing it that way is you have people, instead of talking across the table at each other, no one really knows if they really understand what the other person is saying. You think you agree. You leave the meeting and you think everybody's on the same page, and you come back the next time to do the next step, and everybody's like, well, that's not what we said, or that's not what we agreed, or I thought it was this. When you do something like this, it gets everybody literally on the same page, and they are now all facing in the same direction, looking at the same picture and contributing to it. Right. So when I talk about getting buy-in, it's a lot easier to get people to buy in when they see their own ideas and their own thoughts on the board. Like, oh, I did that. I said that. I'm on there. I counted. It mattered that I came to this meeting. Yeah. And I co-own that image and that roadmap that we made together. So it's much more likely that I'll implement it, much more likely I'll remember what happened. Right. And more likely there's going to be fewer misunderstandings as to what was agreed. Right?
And is this what you mean when you say that's the meeting that couldn't have been an email?
Yeah, exactly. It couldn't have been an email because, number one, it was engaging and fun because people saw a picture coming to life in front of them, even if it was literally, this is not a work of art. Right. And it's the biggest point in my book.
It draws clarity.
Yeah, it's about clarity, and one of the other little catchphrases in the book that is I know I love the worse it looks, the better it works. But
Yeah.
I also basically say the low bar, if it reads, it succeeds. As far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned, if you understand what's on there, what the person is trying to say,
Yeah.
it's as successful as if it was a piece of art that could hang in a museum. Actually, more so. And when I tell people, I really don't want you to try to make it pretty, they think I'm just giving them a pass because I think they suck at drawing.
Right.
I am not. I am basically saying it is better to do a crappy kindergarten level sketch than it is to do a beautiful picture. Because if you do a beautiful picture, people say, "Oh, what a great artist you are! Oh, that's great that you were able to draw that." And it's like I hate when people tell me that.
Yeah.
I want them to understand what I'm trying to express to them, not
Right.
comment on my talent. I don't care about that.
Exactly.
So
what did you mean when you said that that strategy is still sitting on the shelf?
I think what happens is, especially now with AI, I don't know about you, but when I work with Claude, which is my favorite, my husband's jealous. I mean, he said, "You listen to
I
Claude."
haven't tried it yet.
Oh, well, you'll never go back.
Okay.
It gives you so much content and information, and it's all like it just comes at you. It's such volume that it's like it's pages and pages and pages, and I'm like, I'm not going to read all that. You know what I mean? Or I feel like,
Sure.
oh, this is a lot. I'll come back to it later, and then I
Yeah.
never do. And now it's months later, and it gave me this amazing stuff, and I'm not really looking at it because it's just the volume is too much.
Yeah.
Or somebody goes and what I think is happening more and more now, and I talk about this a lot, is that because you can create not just with verbal AI, but also with visuals, presentations and things like that, you can generate an amazing looking presentation using, I forget which AIs do this the best. I'm trying to remember which ones. It doesn't really matter, but a lot of them are getting to do it now. And it looks done. It looks beautiful. It looks finished. But if the thinking that went into it was flawed, or people didn't really think it through, or they didn't really come to a consensus about it, now I'm looking at something. It looks good, but the meaning isn't there, or the logic isn't quite there. But I think I'm supposed to react well to this because it looks like a finished product. But people basically fast forwarded through all the thinking that should have gone into it, or they didn't even read the thinking that they were given by their AI. So now when they get in the meeting and they start to talk about things, they're really not connected to it. Wasn't their idea, and it wasn't their thinking.
Right.
They just came, but they needed to show up with a beautiful looking slide deck, so they did.
Yeah.
And but nobody really understands like why it feels kind of empty.
So keeping with AI, you talk about proof of humanity.
Yeah.
That your competitive advantages in the AI, in this AI world, is your proof of humanity.
Right. And I think doing stuff like this is proof of humanity, even though I'm doing it on an iPad today.
Okay. Yeah.
Ran out of paper. It's the fact that a human being was involved with this process.
Right.
And then, once we've decided, here's what we're doing with our plan, here's what we're going to be doing in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, everybody has had their say, everybody's had their creative input. Now let's take what we've generated here, and now let's put it into a pretty presentation. Now everybody sitting around the table knows what went into this, knows what this means, so that when they see the kind of more professional finished version of it, it has some meaning to them, right? To me, if you don't find ways to show up and deliver the kind of value that only people can do, which I'm thinking of as maybe sort of lateral thinking, the kind of quirky sort of creative connections that only a person really would make, like, oh, I this makes me think of this other thing that I saw when I was a kid, and then they put it together and it becomes this amazing idea. You don't, if you don't leave space for that kind of thinking, and you want to get finished, you want to press fast forward and go to the end, and you're skipping over the part where like, oh, if we do this on paper and we hang around together, and we create a story together, that we, and the reason that we know it, we were there, is because there was a rough sketch of it at some point. I'm fascinated by the chicken scratchy rough sketches that you'll see, like Thomas Edison did. before the light bulb, before anything else. And of course, when they go to get a patent, there's a much more finished, perfect looking drawing. But the beginning ones, the ones that just say, hey, what if there was a wire that went over here? And then you see the thinking. And with AI, you don't see the thinking anymore. Either it wasn't there, or it gets buried, or it was a million years ago. And the thinking that actually generated the content is so divorced from the finished product that you really don't understand like why it matters, why you should care, and whether anybody really thought about it or not.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. There's a 90-minute decision you talk about, and it's how to get unstuck fast. So I'm assuming that you can get pretty stuck in some of these think tanks, the decision rooms, the decision making processes, from where we are to where we need to be, kind of thing.
Right, exactly. I'll show you another one. So basically, a road is a good one, a bridge is a good one. Like here we are, we're here right now, we're over here right now, and but we're looking over there, and over here is all the stuff we want. This is victory over here on this side, but there's this big gap, and maybe there's sharks in the water down here at the bottom.
Gotcha.
So if you fall in, it might be a problem. So how are you going to get from here to there, and what does this bridge consist of? And then you could talk more about like, what are all the problems over here? I don't have enough time. Maybe I don't have. Maybe
trying
I don't
to make you bigger. Sorry, go ahead. I'm just trying to make you bigger.
Then maybe you don't have enough money.
This is bigger. Yeah. Right.
Maybe you're thinking, maybe you're thinking that people are upset at the office, and there's a lot of conflict, and people are angry, and I have all these problems. But if I want to be over here where everybody's getting along, and we're going to grow our business, and it's going to be this big thing, like what are the steps that we're going to take that would get us from here to there? And now we can talk about what are all these things. It's a little bit like the road, but when you're having this conversation and you have one canvas that you can look at and go, oh, this is where we're at. This is where we want to go, and why. What's the reason why we want to build this bridge? Yeah. What are the pieces? Now you're having, it's just a lot faster to get to it
lands quicker. It lands quicker, and that light bulb that you drew for me is you can see them going off in everyone's heads. I'm a visual learner. I can't, I really am 90%. I have to see it to get it.
Well, actually, most of us are visual learners, some more than others, but I think, there's all kinds of science behind this. And I say in the book, like, hey, there's one page that says, hey, if you want to look at the science stuff, here's a page on my website. You can go and get all these white papers and things. But a couple of the stats are like, 2/3 of your brain are given to visual processing. So, and I think I've heard that, a picture of something, you get it, you understand what it is, like 65,000 times faster than if you read the words that describe that thing. So it's a much quicker way of communicating, and it's a much more immediate way of communicating. And the problem is, when we're little kids, everybody, you get picture books, so it's mostly pictures and very few words.
Right.
And you draw a lot of pictures when you're a kid, and nobody says, oh, that's not a good picture of a house, or that's not a good picture of a dog. No one's judging you on your pictures when you're 5 years old. Mm-hmm. So you're doing it. Everybody's stuff. Some people might be quote unquote better at it, but no one really cares at that moment, right? And then as we're getting older, the pictures get fewer and fewer and smaller, and the words get more and more and more until there's no more pictures at all. But your brain hasn't changed. Your brain, now that you know how to read now, but your brain still likes pictures. I mean, I lived in Europe I worked in advertising in Paris for about 10 years. And I was impressed or surprised that now I think it's come to America too, but in France in the 1990s, grown men were reading what now are called graphic novels. But I mean, they're basically glorified comic books. And I was so surprised that this was not like a niche kind of nerdy thing that only like geeky Comic-Con guys were doing. This was something that people just did. And it was considered completely normal for grown human beings to be reading comic books. And it's because it really works really well to tell a story using this happened, like a storyboard. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. Okay, now I understand the story. If you just read the opposite of that is giving me a 3-page report describing what happened, where you have to make a picture in your mind anyway. So why not go just straight to the picture, right?
Absolutely.
So the picture can tell a literal story, like this is exactly what happened, or a picture can tell a metaphorical story, like what we've already seen with the road and the bridge. Another one I really like is an iceberg. Now, anybody in the world can draw an iceberg. It's just a blob. it's just a blob, but then
I
I
can do
might,
that.
but what makes an iceberg is that only a little bit of it is showing over the surface of the water,
Right.
right? So we all know the cliche that 10% of the iceberg is showing on top of the water.
Right.
I love this one because it's like, here's a problem that we're having. Let's say, I'll do conflict at work again. So we have two people up there having, the people are having fights. That's what we see. But now let's talk about, we don't have to draw it. We could write it. What's happening under the water that we don't see that's contributing to this problem. Maybe there's not enough time. Maybe people are just too, I don't know how to draw stress. So I'll just write the word stress.
Right.
Maybe the deadlines are too tight. So that's also about time. Maybe there's not enough communication, so people aren't understanding each other. Like, what are all the reasons why all this conflict is happening?
Right.
The manager is a doofus, and we likes him, and so and then he's
Exactly.
not leader, right? So now you can have a conversation like, yeah, where all of these things are contributing to this problem that everyone can see.
Mhm.
Now, which of these, if we fixed it, would if we worked on fixing it, would make the most impact on this? Would be
Right.
would solve this the most? Would it be to get rid of this guy and bring in a new manager?
Right.
Would it be to make the deadlines, make the deadlines less of a, maybe give people a little extra time to do this? Maybe we should give them a vacation, and
Yeah.
then they should all be able to get more time
Got
off.
it.
But
Yeah,
you
it
can,
makes perfect.
but yeah, so it's a thinking tool, and it takes you, gives you perspective and takes you out of your head and out of the jargon, the corporate jargon, and the words that can really obscure what you're actually talking about. A lot of people speak very well and they sound very eloquent, but when you think back, I mean, I've been in many talks where it's like, I know that person was speaking English and I also speak English, and I sat there and listened to them for 20 minutes, and they said a lot of things that sounded very smart, but I really have no idea now what I'm supposed to take away from that. I walked out of there thinking, okay, well, I heard words, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I don't know what was decided. I don't know where he was going with this. I just heard a lot of eloquent language. Whereas
Right.
when you have this ugly drawing, you actually understand what's going on.
Drawing Out Your Genius, everybody. That's Lisa Rothstein. She is the CEO of Drawing Out Your Genius. Where can we find the book, Lisa?
Oh, you can find the book on Amazon now. I'm looking to get it into bookstores. And I have a little special. I have a special gift for your folks if you want me to tell
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
I have a little training on how to do the sketch that we showed a little bit earlier about the bridge, which I
Okay.
find very, very useful. And if you have a goal that you're going for, you have some kind of something you want to get from here to there. If you go to drawingoutyourgenius.com/bridge, very creative, you will be able to download a PDF that also has a little video walkthrough exactly how to do that drawing.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And thank you for my little drawing. I really do appreciate that.
Oh, I'm glad, but you look so different with your hair back.
I do.
You do. Like when I met you, you had your hair down. That's why I drew you that way.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It's usually about, well, I'm in Phoenix, so it's, it's getting hot. So thanks again for your time today, Lisa. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye now, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the In the Limelight podcast, intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. You'll find my video interviews on YouTube and clarissaburt.com, and the audio version of the interviews you can get wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to connect with me on social, pretty much anywhere, and do stay well until we meet again in the Limelight.